What is the dumbest idea you have ever had that actually worked?
Silent scan.
So it was my mom's birthday, we are barbecuing and we got her to stay inside and prep food so we can decorate the front with balloons and streamers and what have you. Well, we got the whole thing done in secret as hoped, but then we realized there was no way we could get all the leftover decoration material and balloon pump inside without her noticing. Now there are two ways into our house, the back door, that leads into the garage, and then into the kitchen where mom was, and the front door which is visible from the kitchen sink. So, I told my brother I would go in from the back door and distract her while he brought the stuff in through the front and down the hall past the kitchen. Once I got in the kitchen it had occurred to me that I had no plan of attack, so I legit just said, "Hey mom, look at this dance I made," and started like swaying and bopping up and down and doing jazz hands and going la 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 la. Mind you, I'm like 17 years old in this scenario. So she's just watching me, and when bro comes in and is sneaking through the hall behind her with all the stuff, I keep telling her wait, it's about to get good, and she kept watching in confusion. The second he was in the clear, I stopped and said, "Okay, that's it," and that was that. We succeeded.
Silent scan.
Real estate told me I had to have the carpets professionally cleaned, wasn't in the contract, or I'd lose my $800 bond. I did some research and found out I could become an accredited carpet cleaner as there are no official licensing boards in my state. So, I did what any sane person would do. I paid the $85, did the online course, and got my certificate. Registered a business name, ABN etc, etc, all free. Handed the property management a copy of my accreditation and an invoice for services. I became a professional carpet cleaner and launched a vacate cleaning business that is still going 6 months later. Edit to at, I did clean the carpets. They claimed I didn't and required a professional cleaner's invoice as proof. So I gave them the proof. I did not charge the real estate agency, it was a copy of the invoice they claimed to require. I do professional housekeeping and cleaning for vacating a property at the end of lease, to ensure you get maximum bond back. I help people who are being unfairly treated by their property management and advise them on what steps to take in regards to cleaning, repairs, etc. With the return of the bond and some smart shopping, I was able to purchase my own equipment to continue the job. I then claimed those costs back on tax. I wrote this and fell asleep, so waking up to a bunch of silvers and a gold is pretty damn cool. See, thank you Reddit and your love for spite.
Silent scan.
This idea could easily gotten me fired if it went wrong. I was working as art director at an animation studio, making videos for clients. One client was especially pesky about the use of yellow in the background. They wanted it to be that of their logo, which was this horrible neon plus yellow. We advised against it, but after numerous calls we had to cave and gave a version with that color. They hated it and asked for a change. What followed were 12 versions with numerous calls in between tweaking the color over and over. Eventually I got tired of it and just sent the original version again. I didn't even bother to rename the file. The client said, "This looks exactly the way I want it, thank you." How that ever went right I still have no idea.
Silent scan.
I used to know a guy who, every week, would order his Saturday night curry for delivery while sitting in the pub and then walk over the road to the curry house and get it and himself delivered home. This went on for about 10 to 12 weeks. One week, we were sitting, having a pint and the owner of the curry house walked in, took his order, and had him picked up from the pub. He said it was easier for everyone concerned.
Silent scan.
Breaking into my own house through the kitchen window using a piece of wire and a wooden table after I was locked out. I want to hear how the duck you did this well. I arrived home with my mom and my little cousin and we realized we forgot the keys at my grandma's house, way the hell across the city. Mom calls my dad to bring his keys. He was working at the time and he'd take an hour to arrive, so we'd have to wait outside. I went full hell no mode and kept looking for other ways in. Turned out that one of the tiny back windows was open, but there was a safety pin that kept it from opening all the way up, and the only way to remove it was unscrewing it. So I grabbed a wooden clothespin that was lying there, broke it, removed the wire that kept it together because it was just the right size to unscrew the window pin. I did it, pulled a table underneath the window so I could climb inside, and just like that I managed to successfully break into a house at age 13. Hey, Alpha, so you said that you couldn't enter your house that one time. What did you do? Well, I broke a clothespin, tore the wire off a window, and I grabbed me a goddamn table, and then.
Silent scan.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to get even more awesome content. Come on, it just takes 1 second.
Silent scan.
When I was brand new to the army, we were training with another unit, and we had to defend the urban combat area, Mount Site, from an incoming force. We were only allowed a few hours to prepare. One guy suggested that we set up tripwires to, at least, slow them down. The doors are all painted bright blue, and all anyone had was my package of black 550 cord, paracord, that could easily be seen. Setting this up, we thought there was no way they would miss it. I was wrong. Instead of checking the door, like they were supposed to, the opposing force simply tried to rush through. I almost couldn't return fire due to the fact I was laughing so hard. I even put a piece, just below knee level, in the doorway to the room I was in. I turned around when I heard people falling over each other. I looked and almost the entire squad was crawling on top of each other trying to get up. I put my weapon on burst and emptied the magazine. Then fumbled with my last one as I started to laugh even harder than before. After I blindly fired down the hallway, I just leaned against the wall and the entire group and myself just looked at the scene and started laughing. Then their platoon leader came running in and tripped over the same cord. At this point I was done. Put my weapon on safe, put it against the wall, and tried not to piss my pants over the whole situation.
Silent scan.
Back in the flip phone days, I had dropped mine, and the screen stopped working. I could make and receive calls, but the screen was just completely blank. I put up with it for a couple of weeks, because I couldn't afford a new phone, but one day I had the thought of, well, if dropping the phone made the connection loose, maybe the same thing can fix it, and threw my phone at the ground. I picked it back up, and the screen was working.
Silent scan.
I stuck my neck out for an ex-con on house arrest at my job. He interviewed well, but his availability was horrible between the ankle bracelet and meeting with his PO, drug treatment program, etc. My GM said no, and I said, I'm doing it anyway. The first night he worked there, I found myself in a bind. He was the only person scheduled in the kitchen from 8:10 p, and I had no one who knew the kitchen besides myself, because our store had a wicked virus traveling around. I told him, look, dude, we are pretty ducked back here, and I'm going to try to keep my cool, but I can't promise. And because I'm the only manager on duty, I might have to run to the front/drive through. Well, this guy mastered production in about an hour. He was faster than my GM on the grills and fryers, and his attitude was so good. I waited on nothing, and he even tried to help me make sandwiches and send them out. He also managed to clean up the entire kitchen. He eventually moved to maintenance and fixed all the crap the previous guy ignored in a day. Then he moved to service for more hours when the hour restrictions came off and was great with the Karens. My GM got over the ankle bracelet, record, and tattoos and actually hired him for his house flipping business. All because I said, we need ducking employees, and you can't be picky when he's the only guy I've interviewed in a month.
Silent scan.
In college my buddy and I took an investing class, and for one of the projects we had a month to invest fake dollars into the stock market and see which team would have the most money after a month. It was spring semester, so we put all of our fake money into Heinz, thinking there would be a spike in ketchup and mustard sales as the weather got warmer. The next day, Berkshire Hathaway purchased the entire Heinz company and the professor accused us of insider trading. We had no idea what we were doing.
Silent scan.
I'm very antisocial and don't get along with people, don't go out, and dread to talk to anyone. School trauma, I guess. So I moved in a house with 9 strangers as flatmates to force myself to interact with people. So far I enjoyed it living there. I'm no longer afraid of talking to them, met many nice other people that even like me. One dude let me draw on his face after he came without costume to the Halloween party and was so happy. He even recognized me a week later, shouted my name and hugged me. Others complimented my gunshot wound I made. They really care about what I did and do. They are nice, and I like them. I hate people, moved in with a bunch of them, don't think they are so scary anymore.
Silent scan.
Congratulations, you reached the end of this awesome video. Now, like and subscribe, like we talked earlier, come on.
Silent scan.